Hello, my name is Glenn Dyer, and you were watching a Dyer-Situation. Today I am seeing Arrival. For once, genuinely not apathetic. Like, there is a tinge of excitement. That's a first in a while. Just cause this seems to have potential. It's basically a mystery sci-fi film. A big alien vessel lands on Earth, and these people are sent to explore it and the mysteries within. You know, there's a billion ways this could go. So, like, just on that premise alone, slightly excited, because, you know, you see a lot of movies like this back in the 70s, but, like, today, not so often. So, I guess hope you don't screw it up. Hawkeye's in it. How can it go wrong? Yeah, I'm hoping for some great sci-fi stuff, like, and yeah, just I'm hoping it doesn't dissolve into a dumb action scene at the end. That's pretty much the only thing that could ruin it for me. So let's see it. And I'm back, and that was great. I think it's great. Okay. Let me try and diagnose this. Let's just go pace by pace here. So, alright, start with general premise. That'll lead us into things. So the general premise is that, you know, 12 alien pods land around the world in no specific order, except, like, no specific locations, just all these different areas. Mostly concentrated in the northern hemisphere, of course, because that's where all the interesting people are. And you know, all these countries are just trying to figure out what are they for. They're like these big, giant jelly bean-shaped space pods, and there's aliens in there, and they're talking to people, and, you know, just the question of how do we know what they're saying? So they call in Amy Adams, who's this linguistics professor, and to decode their language. And as she does so, they unravel more secrets and yada yada yada. So that's the general plot. And overall, they pull it off A- okay. Not quite A+, just A-. Pretty good, but there are some issues. Let me just stay off the start, at least for the very first half, when they're leading up to actually showing off the aliens, showing what they look like, and how they act and all that. Leading up to that, the atmosphere is spot on. That, like, whole feeling of... It's a really nice real-world sense of what actually might happen if just aliens arrived out of nowhere. Like, how the media would react, how people in college would react. Like, she walks into her college classroom and almost everyone is gone, and the students that are there are, like, looking at their phones constantly and stuff. You know, that's kind of neat. And then the school gets evacuated, which, I don't know, why not? But anyway, you know, the atmosphere there, the whole build-up, the tension, that's all great. That stuff is awesome. And when they actually get to communicating, when they start the communications process, that was also really good, really interesting stuff. Like, not many sci-fi movies, TV shows really delve into that sort of stuff. As I said, this is probably the closest you'll get to a 1970s sci-fi movie, just slow-moving, based heavily in science and logic and heavy-duty thought and all that. And, you know, it's interesting just seeing how it unravels, how they try to open the communication barriers and all that, and it's kind of cool. Like Star Trek, it always kind of bothered me that in none of their shows do they really address that whole language thing. Like, they travel all across the galaxy, but thanks to a magic universal translator that they all happen to have in that century, they just understand everybody. You know, no language barrier issues whatsoever. You know, there are exceptions, like those people who speak only in metaphor, but, like, as far as, like, having to decode an entire freaking alien language from scratch, like, we don't really see that. It's what almost made Star Trek Enterprise interesting, because they brought on a linguistics expert, and she was supposed to, like, somehow decode the aliens' words before they all got killed and stuff. You know, that was like, oh, that's interesting. But that turned out to be stupid. That turned out to be kind of a false alarm there, because her translation job was essentially just use magic remote, and then the magic remote tells her what they're saying, and she tells everybody else. Like, come on. You know, this feels almost like pure science. I can't say exactly like pure science. There are some crazy, nonsensical things in there, but I think for like a general audience, it'll feel very, very real. Except for one thing, which is really towards the end, and it's kind of a twist, but it has to do with, like, this one theory. I don't think this is spoiling it, but it's a theory. God, I hope nobody actually believes this, that learning another language will change your mindset, because the way your language goes determines your personality? Which sounds stupid. Like, I mean, there are things that happen when you learn a new language. Like, when I was learning Spanish, whenever I learned Spanish, I did it twice. Like, what happens is that I start to forget how to speak English really well. Like, I forget certain higher level techniques of English as I'm learning Spanish. That happened. I think my friends and family can attest that it did not totally alter my personality, though. Like, I think, like, your culture more determines that than your language. Like, people in Spain and people in Mexico speak the exact same freaking language, but they have very different cultural ideologies and ways of thinking about things, so it's not really true at all. And in fact, this whole theory that they kind of based the big twist of the movie on is slightly racist, in my opinion. And speaking of which, I don't know if it was intentional or not, but there is one thing that I saw on a TV screen in the background in one particular scene. And again, I really hope it wasn't intentional, but when this is back when the aliens first arrive and stuff, and Amy Adams is watching these TV screens, seeing like how the world is reacting to it and stuff. And on one of the screens in the background, at one point, you can see what appears to be thousands of Muslim worshippers bowing and praying in the direction of the spaceship. Wow. Once again, I'm not entirely sure if that was intentional, if that was what they were intending to show, but that is really racist. That's not even, like, subliminally, that is, like, just straight on super racist right there. So, I don't know, trigger warning, maybe? Once again, I'm trying to give the benefit of the doubt and hoping that's not intentional, but I kind of feel the need to point it out at the very least. So yeah, that's the main thing that kind of gets me to go A-, because, especially regarding the twist and the dynamics of it, it starts to become, I wouldn't say confusing, but at the very least, somewhat disengaging in its style. It's very difficult to explain without going into full spoilers, but trust me, towards the end, the very end, it may start to lose you. That's the only really negative part I can say about, like, truly negative. But other than that, it is a really solid sci-fi film. And once again, it's the closest you'll ever get to the 1970s style pure sci-fi, if you will. Like before Star Wars turned it into more of a mainstream, family-friendly type deal. There's nothing wrong with that, but it is nice to get a return to, the traditional style every now and then. So yeah, I like it. That's pretty much the whole thing. So until next time, I'm Glenn Dyer, and you have been watching A Dire Situation.